a lot of things going on right now. Some of the things I can talk about, some of the things I cannot talk about, and I'm going to try to remember what those things are because there's a lot of new things coming out. But I'm sure some of you guys have seen people talking about the new deals. This is a really interesting TV. I'm about to get it, the Samsung S95D. I'd be interested to hear you guys' thoughts about what you think. But I was going through this. It's obviously QD OLED. It's got the new matte finish, so a little bit polarizing. And I see here that it has 3 reviews. And the reviews, I was wondering if anyone's going to talk about whether or not they like that matte screen. But really, good review here. Best TV I've ever owned. Not a good high-end PC monitor, which, I guess you could make a case for there being better PC monitors than a TV. And then the third one that was a bad one was just that the person didn't get their TV yet. So no one's talking about the matte finish as a negative out here, but maybe you guys have heard. I know some people are really like, I'm not sure if I like it or not, but, I think it's going to be all right. I definitely have seen a review in which there was a little reflection, kind of like, I can't remember who put that video up, but I thought, it's going to be interesting. I still think it's a really good TV, but look, it's $4,500, $4,600 for a 77-inch. And, I know it's not a one-to-one comparison, but, you have this other 77-inch S89C OLED on Best Buy's website, at least, that is in the US. I'm not sure if you can get this nationwide, but geez, for $1,700, $1,800, I feel like it would be really hard not to buy that. Probably it's not as bright, but still, I think everyone that has been talking about this for the last few months since it's been out is like, dude, just get this TV. $1,800. So I'm excited for all the new Samsung TVs, a few different OLEDs, a few different QD OLEDs. Obviously the QLEDs that have always been pretty solid for Samsung. A lot of awesome stuff, but man, $1,800 to get a 77-inch OLED is almost unheard of. And, as far as like Best Buy goes, I just was messing around on the site. I saw they have the deal of the day, LG C3 65-inch was $1,500. And, I'm not, I like the C series. I think this is great. I can't remember exactly how low every year that these C series go. I think typically it's around this, maybe like $1,700, but man, it seems like every year OLEDs are getting less expensive. So $1,500 now for a 65-inch TV is not inexpensive. And especially when you get a 77-inch for just a couple $100 more, it makes it more complicated. But, this is a really good opportunity, the 65-inch. And I was looking at like the G series just because I know that's out too now. And, again, you have some savings getting last year's, saved like $1,000 getting the G3. And in the smaller size, it still has the MLA. And this year, I think all of them are going to have MLA, even the 83-inch. But, right now, obviously, it's just come out. Probably not going to be significant differences, but obviously, it'll probably be better. And we saw it at CES. It looked awesome. G4. $1,000 more. So, as long as they have these ones from last year out, I mean, even $3,500 is expensive when you think about how much some of the other ones are. But, I think this is a pretty good deal if you're going to get that. But I went back and found the B3 because I think the B3 is kind of like the best thing that I can get as far as close to that S89C from Samsung. But it's $200 more. And realistically, it's not quite as good, just to be honest. I mean, it's not quite as bright. It only has 2 HDMI ports that go 4K 120. The processor is a downgrade from the C3 and G3, I believe. If I'm wrong on that, I'm sorry, but I think it is. And it's still $200 more than this QD OLED from Samsung. So, I mean, if you're an OLED, if you want Dolby Vision, if you want to have, they're great gaming TVs, LG is. So you really can't complain. It's a really nice one, but $200 more. So still, a little difference there. I think it's probably the best deal for LG. Maybe you guys would say that getting this deal of the day thing could be close, but it's still $500 less. So that's kind of what I'm looking at from LG. Now I'm actually in the middle of reviewing the M3. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask me. That video will come out in like a week, but man, it's pretty cool. Like, I like this. I have the 83-inch version of the M3. So I guess it does not have all of the features that the smaller ones do. I'm not even sure if the M3 has MLA in the smaller sizes. Maybe someone can let me know in the comments, because that's, since I have the 83, I'm not really focused on that. But yeah, I have the 83-inch and I like the wireless OLED. It's really fun for gaming. The fact that I didn't have to run any wires was pretty easy. But you know, I have a lot of TVs, so you know how it goes with TV reviewing. But I want to know if anyone else has the M3 or if they'd consider it. And I'm going to get to your questions now. Look, I'm glad my microphone's working. I don't know why it was like stopping like 3 times already, but glad it's not anymore. And so let's see. So Samsung, most of the TVs have come out already, so that's not news. There is something else coming out that I can talk about in 2 days. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Something coming out in 2 days probably isn't going to be like that wow to everyone, but let's just say someone commented before. Let me see. I saw a comment that's, I guess, relevant here. There we go. 98-inch Q80C, a good buy. In Norway for, is that 4,000 US? I mean, I'm going to get more into the Q&A here in a second, which is fine. I don't mind, you know, kind of doing some of these now. Q80C, 4,000 bucks. Let's see what it is. Oh man, I hate it when I have to look like everywhere. Let's type in 98-inch. I'm going to go through some of these questions. So that's 7,000 bucks. Dang. You know, that's pretty expensive. I just happen to have this one up here. This is not a QLED, but I've talked about this a bunch. Everyone knows that I like this. TCL 98-inch S5. This is probably my favorite TCL TV just because of the, you know, the combination of how good it is combined with the price point. I mean, you're talking 2,000 bucks for a 98-inch TV. I don't know of a lot, you know, any other deal that's like that. We had like a Hisense mini LED. We had a Hisense, you know, 2 of them actually, the U8K 100-inch, and then you also had the, I guess, U76K. Both of them seem to be hard to get. So yeah, I guess I'm with a Bama fan here. 7,000. Whoops, that changed. 7,000 for a TV. I don't know if that's good in Norway. 4,000 bucks is less than 7,000. But you know, for me, it looks like I would probably lean into one of these TCLs. They're seeming to be a lot less expensive, and they're still pretty good, man. I mean, I like this. It's a 100-inch TV, 98-inch, and it's fantastic. So I don't have any information yet on any new TCLs. Obviously, they're going to have a 115-inch that we saw at CES. They're going to we know that they're going to have, I think, 2 mini LED 98-inch TVs. They're going to have another 6 series that's not mini LED, I believe, that is still LED. So those are things that we learned at CES. And then their typical product lineup is going to change a little bit with the naming system. I kind of forgot already, so I apologize how it's going to go. But I made a video about it if you want to check back. Sony, I would look for something I'm going to put out this week. Let's just say that. Specifically Wednesday. So on Wednesday, I'm going to have a video that will talk about some stuff that may or may not be coming out. I don't know. I think I can say that. But, you know, I've been talking about the X90L all year. 85-inch is $2,100, $2,200. And the 65-inch, $1,200. So does that appeal to anybody? There's, you know, there's many LED ones. The X93L, actually, that price point is a lot better. I don't know. Would you guys get the 65-inch X93L here, or would you get that C4 for $200 less? I feel like that would be challenging for me to pick an LED over an OLED, but you know, sometimes people, you know, like the mini LED. They don't want the OLED. And then Hisense, of course. I, again, don't have anything out on the new TVs, but I know I'm starting to think like if I had to buy a smaller one, because I don't buy a lot of small TVs, but when I do recommend, I typically find myself coming back to Hisense TVs. I think it's just because it's the combination of how good they are for the price. You know, if you're looking at like a U7 here, this is a 55-inch for less than 500 bucks. And if we've gone over all these other ones, you can't even get like that B3 55-inch for anywhere close to this. So what do you guys think? I mean, I think this is great. I think the U8 is also great. That's a little bit more expensive. Let's see where that is. U8 right here, 55 inch. So that's $700. And if we compare that back to the B3 and we go to the 55 inch right here, what do we got? $1,200 for an OLED. I think that'd be okay. And I'd probably even consider the 42 inch C3, which is $800, I think, $879, somewhere in that range. Those would be where I would look for OLED. And I've always talked, I have like a 48 inch OLED here. That's awesome. And we use it for like a monitor for editing and all that. Great. But if I'm talking about like a TV in my living room, I'd probably just go with like this Hisense U8 or the U7. Because for most people, these are so much better than they would think. Fantastic. And if you wanted 55 or 65, I would definitely consider this. So $500, done. So if you have a family member and you're like, I got to get one for a family member, there you go. And let's see. Oh yeah, this was just the M3. I already talked about that. So I like that. Good TV. I also made a video about TV mounts. So if you guys need to reference that, I put links in the description here, but ask me questions about TV mounts or your installation situation, because that's something that I'm, I can communicate that stuff pretty easily. And sometimes I don't think of all the questions you might have. My good friend Classy was asking me about all installation of his new TV, and I was kind of helping him out. And it's good to just bounce ideas off of each other. So let me know what you guys think about any TV mounts. I put a couple, like I just typed in literally TV mounts here, and I went through some of these on another video. But it's hard to kind of quantify what I think would be the best TV mount when you guys don't. You have to ask me specific questions that might help. So kind of that, that's pretty much all I was thinking of as far as what I wanted to talk about. I'm excited for some new TVs to come out. I am getting the S95D coming here. I'm getting a bunch of LG TVs. I'm going to have the G4. I'm going to have QNED, whatever. I'm going to have Sony TVs. Can't talk about that yet. Give me a couple more days. What else? TCL and Hisense, I'm sure, will come through with their TVs once they're launched. I know that there is an event they're going to be communicating for TCL here sooner than later about different ones that they're ready to go on. So ask me some questions. I'm going to go back up in the questions and just check it out. I do have coffee too, and I'm not even drinking it because I was so frazzled about my stupid microphone. Can't get the lid off this. How's everybody doing, man? It's a nice Saturday. Saturday night, I guess, in Norway already, huh? Saturday afternoon, at least. Carl? It's pretty good. I got some Blue Bottle espresso beans here. Some fantastic espresso. In a travel mug because I have to leave after this. So thinking ahead. Let me go through the comments. Sound is fixed. I talked about that Q80C. Yeah, Dave, haven't talked to you in a while. What's up, man? Oh, you have the S89C. Cool, man. Let me know more about that. How much do you say you like it? I'm happy with it. I know you had some questions before about which TV to get. We've been kind of on these chats for a couple of years, but I'm sure you're getting a lot more information from people that do live streams more often. So I'm sure I like watching live streams. I typically watch live streams for like crypto and finance, but live streams can be pretty addictive if you have someone that's good at them and does them often. Question: which TV brand gets the longest software update support? I don't know, man. I think for the most part, don't they all kind of continue to support over time? Man, my dog is barking out there. Someone must be at the door. So I don't think there's probably a difference. You could be like, oh, this company does it better than that company. I mean, I don't know. Maybe someone else in the comments knows. What's up, Michael? How you doing? Hey. So had to get the dog to stop barking there. Anyways, what's up, Michael? Good to see you. All right. When is my test coming out for the QN90D? I don't have any plans yet to get that TV. I will. Okay. We have some craziness going on outside. All right. So anyways, I will get this TV and then I'll let you guys know. I'm excited to get it, Dave. All these Samsung ones are exciting. I'm probably more excited to get the S95D, but this one will still be good too. Michael, you say the G4 for me. I agree. I'm excited to get the G4. I think I'm going to have the 65-inch of that. So I will compare it to the 77-inch G3. I'll be able to compare those two TVs and give you guys my thoughts about which is better. Hopefully the G4 will be no question better. But I'm not, obviously you got to get the TVs in the house before you can make that kind of decision. All right. Let me see what else we got going on here. Give me 1 second. Sounds like we have one of the boys got cut outside, so that's why the dog's barking and everyone's panicking. So sounds like they're okay though. So good deal. Okay, well, let's see. I got a question here. I have the LG UHD AI Think Q. What's the difference between the Think Q and the QLED TVs from LG? The QNED TVs. What you have is a UHD, is just a ultra high def. And then they have QNED TVs, which are more or less like the mini LED, the top of the line LED TVs. So the difference is you're just going to have better contrast in the QNED TVs. They're going to have more dimming zones if your TV has dimming zones at all. So contrast will be better. Picture quality will be better, a lot brighter, that kind of thing from the QNED, if that's what you're referring to. I don't think they have QLED, it's QNED. But that's pretty straightforward. Is it worth it? You pay 2, 3, 4 times the amount to get something like a QNED, but I don't know what specific model you have, William, but that's kind of the difference. Yeah, so there you are. There you go. Okay, so here we are. I found a QNED 80 for $500. Is it worth it? I don't know. If I had to say, is the LG QNED 80 worth $500, my thought might be that I would consider looking at the Hisense TV because I feel like this might be better. I'd have to, if you guys haven't ever done this, you should go to ratings.com, RTINGS.com, because you probably could throw in the LG model number there and then compare it to something like the U7K from Hisense and get direct comparisons about what they think. You know what? Let's just do it, man. We got time. Let's do it. I happen to have an account with them. I hope I'm not like doing it, and I shouldn't be because I'm a member and then I'm broadcasting this. But let's compare for the sake of it. So I'm going to put in LG QNED. There's the 80. Let's call it the 2023. And on this side, we're going to put the Hisense U7K. There we go. So this is what I would do. And this is what I do with friends and family. So we got different sizes. We got it. And here you can see. So mixed use, look at it. I mean, it blows it out of the water. The Hisense, and make sure you guys can see this. You can see this, right? Okay, cool. Hisense is an 8.2. Mixed use, the LG QNED is a 7.0. So when you ask me if it's worth it to get the QNED 80 for $500, then I'd point to something like this. You have a TV that I just talked about in the U7K, that's an 8.2. Now, viewing angle is not so good. So if you're viewing off angle, you get a little bit benefit of getting this QNED, which is cool. That's always good to know. And if you go into different categories, they're going to tell you all this stuff. Wow, contrast 2.1, that's not good. So more or less, you like to see a lot of green on this map, and that looks like the U7K is better, in my opinion. The viewing angle is the only thing it doesn't do well. So if you're looking straight on, then you're good to go. If you're off angle, you still got to compare all this other stuff. Wow, that is awful. So contrast with the native contrast, 5700 to 1, 1200 to 1, with the dimming zones enabled or the local dimming, 45,000 to 1, still no dimming zones on that QNED 80. So, you get what you pay for. Blooming, 10.10 because it doesn't have any dimming zones, 7 for this. Obviously, I just think this is pretty straightforward. It's not that complicated. I think it's going to be better. So I don't think it's probably the best deal if you want to talk about it. Okay. Everyone wants to know about the TCL 98-inch S5 and how the black levels are compared to the QM8. Sounds like a sleeper hit, but well, I didn't notice any downside. Now, I never had these two. Did I have them? I had the S5 next to, I can't remember which one I had it next to, but this is my thought. Here are my thoughts on this, Andres. I thought the QM8 was fine, but the off-angle viewing was not good. And so when I was watching movies from the chair that we have that's off-angle, I was kind of upset because it didn't look great. It didn't look how it looked straight. And so therefore, you know, it's a little brighter, maybe full screen, whatever. It's bright. It's awesome. But I had the 98-inch S5, and I thought everything was great about it. I didn't notice any real downside to it. I don't even think it has dimming zones. So the contrast isn't going to be as good. But still, I was stoked with it. I thought it was awesome. And I was very surprised at how bright it got, like how the highlights were. Because if you don't have dimming zones and you don't overdo it with the dimming zones, then you know, you're not going to suppress highlights. And then therefore things are brighter, you know, relative to the contrast, it looks brighter. And so for me, I was pretty happy and pretty surprised that it looked that good. But that's just me. Normally my instincts are pretty on point with regards to this. I don't use measurements to figure out it's got this many nits or that many nits typically. I would pull it out at some point and measure it and figure it out, because I'm sure there's going to be better 98-inch TVs. And like if you're talking about other mini LEDs like the U8K 100-inch, I know that TV's brighter as well. Same with the QM8. So it should be better to a degree. But I mean, it's like 3 times the price of this 98-inch S5. And I'm telling you, if you put the S5 in your living room or whatever, you're going to be happy. If it's in a completely black room, maybe you're not going to love the contrast, but it's still going to be better than like ultra short throws and stuff like that, where you're going to be paying $2,000-$3,000 for a 100-inch ultra short throw and a screen, and then you got to put it up, and then you got to have that. Kind of tough to say I would go with that over this. We have the AWOL Vision and 150-inch out there. I love it. But then we put a TV up, and I'm like, dang, TVs are so much brighter, you know? So it just depends. At night when we're watching a movie on the 150-inch screen with the AWOL Vision, it's fantastic. And I have no complaints. And even when I'm watching sports for the most part, I really love it. So, you know, it's awesome. Ooh, this is a good question. It looks like the U8N is showing on Best Buy. I think we should check that out because that sounds interesting. I'm going to leave that tab up. If you guys want more ratings, comparisons, let me know. And we'll figure that out. U8N Hisense. Let's see if it's up. Oh man, do I have it? It doesn't look like it's there. This looks like the older stuff. Oh, there it is. Maybe this is it. U8? I think this is. Let me click on it. A 65-inch for $1,500. Yeah, this is it. So here's the new model. They have a basketball with a trophy instead of Jason Tatum on all the pictures. So there you go. I don't like Jason Tatum. I mean, I don't mind him, but I don't like the Celtics. So that's what it is. And by the way, if you guys want to ask me any sports questions, any questions about anything else, crypto, all that stuff, I'm always open to talk about it. But you guys, you know, ask away. Let's go. Fire away in the comments. I'm excited, man. I feel like when I saw this stuff at Hisense, it may or may not have been looking like continuations of this last year. I don't know what they're doing that is that different. I only got like a 30-minute tour of Hisense booths. It was kind of like hidden in the back. I think everyone was like hanging out with Richard Jefferson and Paul Pierce in the front. They had those guys at CES. It was pretty cool. They were cooking food for people, but you know, exciting to do that kind of stuff at CES. Pretty interesting. So I'm excited for Hisense TVs. I always think they're a good value. And I don't think this year will be any different. So let me go in here. When is the LG G483 going to ship? Best Buy does not show it for sale. Good question, right? I mean, I think this is supposed to be the first year that the G4 and the 83-inch is actually going to have all the MLA technology or the brightness booster max plus, whatever they want to call it. So maybe it's going to take a little longer for that 83-inch model to be completed. Because it's a different form factor than they've ever done, or it's actually a different, you know, manufacturing process. They got to add that layer in there. So maybe that one's just going to be a little later than the other ones. I do believe I've been talking to LG about getting the 83-inch at a future date. So that's good to know. Currently, they're working on the 65 and the 77-inch. So, that's how it goes. I mean, some of these companies, they're trying to get the TVs out sooner this year. There was a point to be made about that, like getting the TVs out sooner. I know Sony's up with that. So, down with that, up with that. They're down to try to get them out sooner. Dave Bernard says, TCL and Hisense, I don't trust reliability. That's fair if that's your case. I think people have brand loyalty or brand recognition, and sometimes, you're like not comfortable with a certain brand. I understand that. These are both Chinese manufacturers. I think some people have that in the back of their mind. However, most of the stuff that we get comes from China. So it's hard for me to say don't buy it because it's a Chinese brand when iPhones and phones in general are made, and components and parts and PCs and all this crap is made in China that we buy. And I mean, all the TV mounts that I recommend are made there. It's like, it's hard to decide where you should draw that line. And these TVs are very popular in China. They're used all the time. So TCL is a very well-known brand. Hisense as well. I have full faith in TCL TVs. I don't see any of my TCL or Hisense TVs lasting less time than the other ones. And really, you have a lot of returns in all the different brands. So it's really just your preference, man. No worries. Best Buy deal of the day. Yeah, I don't think the C3 is $14.99. That'd be pretty sweet. If it was $14.99 and then you could buy it for that, that'd be a steal. But I don't know. What would you buy here? If the C3 was $1,500 and the B3 was $1,200, that's a tough call. And yeah, I agree with that. Let's see. This is what I was talking about before. The C3 48 inches, $999. I believe it's the 42 inches, $879, if I'm right. And it was funny. I have the QD OLED monitor, the 49-inch widescreen in here, and I haven't used it yet. I wanted to get going on that. And I think it'd be awesome in here because I could see this whole thing without looking over my camera. I could put things on the left and the right and use this whole monitor. Currently, I just have like a 32-inch LG monitor here, or Dell monitor. But yeah, my friend Jolster, who had my QD OLED, was like gaming on the widescreen monitor and was able to see so much more in certain games. And then he's back to, I think he has the 42-inch, which is awesome, but it's just the normal 16:9, and he's like, you can't see anything on a PC. So it's one reason to think about getting the widescreen. But 42-inch, 48-inch, C series are fantastic. And over the years, they've been adding different technology back to it, like the pixel refresh, all that kind of stuff, the dimming, so it doesn't get overly bright and burn out or whatever, burn in. And so, that's something to consider. But I think $1,000 for a monitor like that is not unreasonable. The 77-inch A95L on order at Best Buy, but I'm looking at getting the 83-inch G4 instead. Well, that's a tough call, man. I mean, you're going to get more size with the G4. To be honest, the G4 is probably going to be a little more expensive to start. I guess. Let's see, because currently, how much is the G4 at the largest size that they have available? Oh, 45. Okay, right here. So it's like 45. Ooh, can we click on the 83-inch? Let's see what happens. Hey, they got the price point coming soon. $6,500 for an 83-inch G4 with MLA. Going to be fantastic, no question. And then on the other hand, you have the A95L, A95L 77, which is the TV that I have, right? I love it. Fantastic. Would I take an 83-inch over a 77? Man, where is this thing? It's not even on here. I think isn't it like out of stock? It's not a good sign as far as there it is right there. Let me click on it. It's probably going to say that it's out of stock. Yeah, unavailable nearby. So it's probably why it didn't pop up. So you're talking about 5,000 or 65. Man, that's tough. This is going to come down in price once it's out for a little bit. So if you can wait, it might be a comparison that you'd think would be a good opportunity. If you're not in a hurry, man, here's a question. Do you have Google operating systems? Do you like that? This has got the web OS. I like that too. I'm probably a little bit more prefer the Google operating system because it just integrates really easily with all my stuff. I don't know. I find it the most convenient for me with all the apps and things that I use. So that's my thought. Can you please look at the chat? I don't know what this means. I'm looking at the chat. We're literally going through it. Yeah. So let me keep going on here. The Realistic Gooner. That's a funny name. First, let me say Americans don't know how lucky you have with a store like Best Buy. Buying a TV in the UK is a hike around a variety of stores instead of just one. So remember us Brits. Hey, man, I'm all about the Brits. And actually, I get so many questions from around the world that I understand that we have it pretty easy in the US because whether it be like tariffs, taxes, exchange rates, whatever it may be, like Canada always has TVs that are so expensive and people are like, oh man, I wish I could just buy it in the US. And it sounds like the same thing over in England, Britain, UK. So I'm sorry. I know in countries like India and some of these other countries, they get like the TVs a year later. So they're talking about I don't know, for 100% it's India, but other countries, people are asking me about TVs like the QN90A that are like 3 years old now. And I'm like, dang, man, that's rough. So, I do feel for you and I hope that I can help you with this, but it's, we look at Best Buy just for price reference and we have links in the description if you want to buy these TVs. So check it out. Bama fan, UFC 300. Man, I haven't watched a UFC fight in so long, but I used to watch them often. This one sounds like it's a great card. Unfortunately, I don't really know any of the people on it, but I have friends that are getting it. But I'm so tied up with sports for my kids that I don't even have time on the weekends, man. This is like the free time I have right now is to spend it with you guys. So here's my free time hour. And since we didn't have a video this weekend because we're making videos for, we got a lot of stuff going on, but it was kind of like weird timing. So we just decided to do a live stream today. And that would be it for the day. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I don't know if this is the same person, but this is the same question I just went over. I found a 65-inch QNED 81 for $500. Is it worth it? And as I had said before, this is it right here, dude. Look, do you want the 7 or do you want the 8.2? This is your QNED 80 or 81, and this is a Hisense U8K. So you guys are saying, I don't trust Hisense, I don't trust TCL, I don't know. Well, I mean, a neutral company here, Ratings, who does not like favor one TV or another or one company or another. They just put out the numbers and it's statistic based and it's, brightness based and all these things. Clearly you can see it looks like the U7K is better for around $500. So that's my take. I guess what did I look at the U? Was it the U? That's a 55-inch. Let me just click on it. Oh, it's right there. No, it's 55. Boom, 65-inch. Let's check it out. Maybe it's more expensive. Yeah, so it's like $700. Okay, so it's a little bit more expensive here anyways. Not a one-to-one comparison because you're asking if it's, I feel like there may be TVs better for that price point, man. That's my point. That's what I would say. There we go. What is the best Sony 80-inch or larger OLED to buy for a movie room? I think this is a great question for my friend Brian Tech Therapy. We did a video where I had collaborations of all the people. It was right at the end of the year. It was a fun video. And his favorite TV was the A80L 83-inch OLED because it had all of the features that like the Master Series A90J had. So let me click on that so you guys can see. I mean, but this is probably what I would say. A80L 83-inch. It was right on the thing. I could have just pressed it. Here we go. $47.99 in the US. $4,800. I don't know why they always put the $47.99. Just make it even. Excuse me. This is what I would say is the 80-inch plus OLED. Now, if you were just to say 83-inch or 80-inch or larger TV, you might say the A90 or the X90L LED TV could be in here because it's like half this price, not even half this price, $2,200. So is it worth it to buy an OLED for almost $5,000? Or would you consider getting, the X90 right here? And then they're going to pop us up to an 85-inch. So now we're at $2,200. Bam, that's pretty nice. And then they also have you know, if you go to the X93 or even the X95L 80, you know, this is still $1,000 less for a larger TV. And I would say that this is a more fair fight, right? The top of the line X93L or the X95L at 85-inch versus the 83-inch, that would be a pretty good deal. All right. The S89 is great. QD OLED or bust. I like it. You know, that's good to hear. It's good to hear, man. I know, David, you had a lot of questions and considerations of TVs, and so I'm glad that you're happy with the TV. That's awesome. All right, I'm getting through these. I'm going to be here for another 10, 15 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. Let's see. So ask questions. I see people are firing some questions out, you know, and I'm sure other people in the chat will answer some of these as well too. So the best Sony TV. I think the best Sony TV currently is the A95L. I have that. It's really awesome. It's so bright, man. I have it in the bedroom, and we can't even put it on full brightness for most of the time. It's kind of like a waste. I feel bad because it's like it is blinding bright at night. And so when you get used to it and you're watching TV at night or a basketball game and it's like, you know, 2000 nits or whatever it is at night, it's like, good Lord. I have it on like the highest power saving mode and it did no luminance and it's still bright. At commercials, like these come on and it's like white and you're like, good Lord, so bright. Dave says that my panel is great uniformity, 0 dead pixels, nothing to think as a negative, and no Dolby Vision was not a deal breaker. I think that's a good statement. I don't think Dolby Vision, having it or not, is a deal breaker. The quality of those TVs are so good that Dolby Vision or not, if it has HDR in general, you're going to be in a good spot. I don't think it's 100% necessary to have Dolby Vision. And movies still look great either way, whether you're just in HDR 10 plus or 10 or whatever, or just HDR, and then or Dolby Vision. They look great. Wait, someone got their stole thing? I don't know. I can't comment on that. All right. Wow, it's 6:30 already somewhere. Yeah, that's how it works with the world spinning in a circle, man. All right. This is fun. This is interesting. Let's just read it out. You sold your house with LG OLEDs, and I'm not in the mood to buy all new G4s to start over in the new house. I'm willing to take a chance on the U8N for one room and see if I like before buying OLED again. I like that. Now, if I was in your shoes and I had OLEDs and then I'm going to buy a mini LED TV, I think the only thing you're going to notice is that the mini LED TVs can get so bright. And then if you're excuse me, if you're watching them in the dark, you're going to notice the blooming once in a while. But a lot of people at full screen don't really notice the blooming. I'm just kind of an OLED snob at this point, and so that would be the only thing. I don't think you need to buy all new G4s in order to buy a new house. I mean, you can even get a couple inexpensive OLEDs or a couple of just traditional LED TVs. You don't need like a G4 in your guest room, man. I mean, no one's going to watch it anyways. I have a A90J in my guest room. It's just like a waste. It's the only place I had left to put one of the TVs. So it's in there. $4,000 in a guest room that nobody watches. Seems pretty silly. But yeah, 98-inch OLED would be nice. I know they have a 97-inch. They have the G2 and they have the M3. Both of them are crazy. They're both like 30 grand. Pretty nuts. You know, would you put 3,000, I don't know what this is, in TCL mini LED or go for the 98-inch? I'm kind of confused. I would pick I don't know what I would do here. If it was like the TCL 98-inch QM8 versus the Samsung 98-inch Q80C, I am not sure because I've never seen the Samsung. I might have seen it, not in my review, so I don't know. Very tough. Hey, here we go. What TV do you have the most problems installing in wall? Well, there's a couple that are kind of complicated. Basically, any of the TVs that you're trying to get super flat on the wall are always hard. And like I did the G series installs, and if you want to get them super flat on the wall, it's challenging because you got the cords, you know, so you got cords to connect and you have the power cord, which can be kind of hard to get flat. So you kind of have to gut the wall a little bit to make it work. So then you're talking about like Samsung frame. Well, you know, why did they make the Samsung frame with the box? Well, they made it with the box so that you didn't have all the wiring issues. But, you know, I made a video, easy way and the hard way to install the Samsung frame. And sometimes you got to put one of the big Legrand in-wall low voltage boxes in order to put the actual One Connect box in there. And then we had an Amazon stick connected to it. And then after I installed it all and we put it up, dude had Wi-Fi issues because we stuffed everything in the wall. And I'm like, dang it, you know, I didn't even think about that. So there's always some issues, but those two TVs are supposed to be the ones that are wall mounted and look cool. And then they're both challenging to a degree. And that one wire is not even in-wall rated. So that can be hard too. Sometimes I feel like it's just best to get like an OLED or a LED TV and just put it on an arm mount or a flat mount, but give it a little space, maybe an inch or two behind it, because you don't have limitations on cord connections and like power. So, you know, as long as you're not putting a TV like down the hall here where like you can see behind it if you're coming in the front door, and it's going to always bother you to see all the wires. If your TV's at the end of a room, it doesn't really matter. But if you're, you know, in a hallway, or if you're going to walk by the side of the TV, it's like, it can be challenging to get something to look very nice and neat. Obviously, a lot of these companies have made it easier to connect their HDMI cords now. And that back there is really dull, isn't it? It's supposed to be like a nice background, and I can't even see it. So they made their HDMIs a little bit easier to use. So there you go. But that's a good question, Craig. I'd go into it for days here if you wanted, but I think everyone else would probably get bored at me talking about it. QN82D. I don't even know what that is. So weird that they have different model numbers in different countries. But hey, $1,500 off sounds like a deal. That's awesome. Which TV would you get for around $550? If I was to get a TV for around $550, 55-inch, I had already shown it. One of them anyways. I think I deleted it now. Oh yeah, here it is. Hisense U8K. 470 right here. Boom. That's probably the TV I would get. Now, if I compare this to the Q7 from TCL, I think this one is a mini LED and that one is not. So that's probably the differentiating factor. I also had a little bit of uniformity issues with the TCL. It's not typical, but I would say that, you know, kind of having a little bit of vignetting around the edges and maybe a little like discoloration in the bottom of the screen would push me towards this Hisense. I felt like this was a better TV overall. So that's what I would do if I had, oh shoot, if I had that. I thought I was muted for a second. I almost freaked out, but that was a while ago. Here, the best TV to buy with an unlimited budget. Well, if I had an unlimited budget, I know what I would get. Let's take this. Unlimited, you said. Let's see if we can find something stupid crazy. How about this? 110-inch for $150,000. A micro LED from Samsung. Honestly, I would get something like this. That's too small, though. 110-inch, that's tiny. I need the 140-inch. You know, this is not realistic, but man, either I want to see these QD OLEDs get up to 100-inch, or I want to see these micro LEDs come down in price, because these things are crazy. They're all individually lit. We got a showing at, where was it? I think it was at Samsung. They showed us the circuitry that goes into these TVs. There's a reason why it's this expensive. I mean, you know, a lot of it's logistics and, you know, scarcity of the technology, but the microchips feeding all these little pixels, it's insane. All the pixels are like the size of a grain of sand, and they're all on this board, and they're all controlled by little, you know, processors that are everywhere on these TVs. It's insane. We couldn't even use video to show the technology, but you know, I would love to have something like that. I would love to just show you guys something like that. I know a couple people have been able to be there for installations of those, which is awesome. But yeah, that would be something I would definitely like. That would be, yeah, there you go. Dave Bernard got it. That's right where I was going. 100,000, 150,000. It's not even that big. Geez, you know. Micro LED is better than OLED. I would say so. I don't know. I think micro LED is not organic material. I think it's just lighting, like typical. I don't know. I can't even explain it. Micro LED, it is better, obviously, because it's more expensive. You have a 100-inch OLED and they're only 30 grand. You have a 110-inch micro LED and it's $150,000. So yeah, I think you'd probably say that it's, I guess, even if it's not better, it's more expensive. It's more premium at this point. Okay. Projector getting good, question mark? I mean, projectors are pretty good. Some of them are. You know, I don't know if you guys saw my new video with the AWOL Vision projector with this, the stand that has the it opens up. It kind of opens a little slow. That's my only complaint. It kind of takes about 20 seconds to open. But it's really cool to have it in a nice heavy cabinet that's a premium looking cabinet that opens up and turns on, and every time it's up on a 150-inch screen. That is fantastic. So yes, projectors are getting good. And there's even projectors that are brighter, you know, like a lot brighter. So you can get a Sony projector for like a, you know, $90,000. That's 10,000 nits. It's, you know, you got to use like a 240 volt. And yes, I got that from Sony people I was talking to. So I don't know all that stuff offhand, but do you guys use filmmaker mode? I don't know if you're asking everybody or me. I typically use like cinema mode. Sometimes filmmaker mode to me ends up pulling a little shine out of the screen. I don't use vivid mode, but I like to have it, you know, high luminance and at least like a cinema mode or a movie mode. And I'll tweak the settings a little bit, but you know, not filmmaker mode is better than like vivid mode though, for sure. What's the best stand I could possibly buy for the 77 A95L? Does it contain a wall stand in the box? Is it enough? I don't really know what this means. No, this TV does not come with a wall mount. Comes with a stand. What's the best, I guess, wall mount you're thinking? You can buy all kinds of them. There's ones at Best Buy. There's like a Santa's mount for like $100, an arm style one. Flat mounts, pretty straightforward. I made a video, check it out, just best TV mounts on Amazon. Really straightforward video. I would do that. Do you have a TCL XL TV? Michael, I have 3 of them. Right now, they're all in a storage unit because I don't have anywhere to put these TVs. I have the 98-inch R754. I have the QM8. I have the S5. If anyone wants to buy one in Southern California, please contact me because I will sell it to you cheap. I'm not going to ship it across the country, but if someone wants to pick one of them up, I'd make you a deal because I have all 3 of them and I can't, you know, they're just sitting in a storage unit. So someone else should watch it. Celtics, hard to match. I don't think the Celtics are going to go that far, man. I don't know. I think they're fantastic, but for some reason I have no faith in the Celtics. Hold on one second. I got my 5-minute warning here, guys. Celtics hard to match. I don't know. I think it's going to be Nuggets or somebody that wins it this year. But maybe maybe Nuggets Celtics. That'd be awesome. I think it'd be a great finals. But you know, Jokic, dude, he's good. Tough call. 85-inch X95L instead of the 98-inch. Whew, I don't know about that. So here's the thing. If you have the space and you have the distance, 15 feet or 12 feet or 15 feet, get the 98-inch TV at some point. I don't know. 85-inch is totally fine. And that's X95L is fantastic. And maybe there's something coming out. Who knows? You know, maybe you should wait 2 more days and hear about Sony stuff. You know, maybe people like Sony better. Who knows? Going to be some good TVs this year for sure. I don't know why people always do this. 2025, even better. Listen, are we talking about buying TVs in the next year, or you're just talking about every year something else should be better? I agree with you. 2025 should be even better, but we're not even getting the 2024 TVs yet. So why are we excited for 2025? I don't even know what's coming, man. It's like, what, 2nd generation AI processing? I mean, what's wrong with current processing? I feel like AI processing is above and beyond what the creator intended, right? How much more stuff do we need, like artificially improved? I guess processing power in general will be better, but TVs look pretty good right now. I mean, I watch them on 150-inch size. I watch them on 100-inch. Things look great. Things that I have in my house are far better than in the movie theaters. Now, the sound isn't, and that's one thing that I'm trying to improve this year. But these are amazing. The TVs are ready, so I don't think you need to like wait until 2025. You know, if you're a fan of TVs year over year, of course. 55-inch, 65-inch G4 has a stand. That's true. The stand. So I'm going to get the 65-inch, so I'll have a stand, and then it makes me wonder: is it going to come with the mount? Because I think they asked me if I need a wall mount, so maybe that means it doesn't. Am I going to get the 83-inch C4 to review? Possibly. I have no plans yet to get the C series. I'm getting the G, the QNED, and the M3 currently. I know there's an M4, but it sounds like they want to, you know, talk about the M3 this year. I'm already on it. The video should come out in a week or so. I love it, man. The M3 is awesome. Having that wireless box is a game changer for real. To be able to game 4K 120 wirelessly, not have to run any wires in the wall. It makes it easy for me to pull TVs on and off the wall. So it's definitely something that if you have like your stuff is all over here and the wires were run and now it's not an HDMI 2.1, so you can't use that HDMI on the wall. What are you going to do? Are you going to dig out your whole house and like spend $2,000 fixing it? Or you could get a wireless TV. It's an option, you know. S95B is still a hot TV even though it's 2 years old. Hey man, that's a great TV. Good stuff. I like it. All right, we're almost wrapping it up here. Let's see. Backlit remote. Listen, I talked to people about this. I actually talked to the bosses. Some of them, the bosses of certain companies, agree with me. If they're buying $10,000 TVs, maybe they should have a backlit remote, right? So I'm doing my best here to. I agree with you, Phantom Punisher. So does that mean you're not a Punisher? You're Phantom? I don't know. You know what I'm saying. Something from TCL for that. I already said the Q7, maybe even the Q6. They're pretty good. I like them. Yeah. Wait, hold on. I'm so confused. A C4 87-inch, I think you mean 83-inch, or a TCL 98-inch. That's pretty tough, man. I mean, if you have the space and you're sitting pretty far away, I would consider getting a 98-inch. But if you want the quality, obviously an LG OLED is going to look better. It's just, you know, it's just what it is. They have the better contrast. I think that's just an easy answer there. But, you know, if you're sitting far away, fantastic quality further away doesn't look quite as fantastic when you're talking about something that's larger and closer. And even if it has a flaw or two, it's a very tough decision. But I ended up dumping my A90J 83-inch TV. I got rid of for a TCL 98-inch because the size difference was so much greater. I was like, buy Sony beautiful OLED. The OLED was fantastic, but we sit 15 feet away, and that's just what it's got to be, man. That's how it works. Someone has the 55-inch U7K, and it's great. See, the frugal audiophile agrees with me. Nice. And that's a frugal audiophile, so they're not, you know, they want a deal. All right, I'm going to burn through these real quick. Let's see. I currently have a 76-inch Sony X900F. Should I upgrade to the X950L, 95L, or the 100-inch? I don't know what this is. That's a 1,000-inch NCG Hisense. I don't know what that is. If you're talking about like a 100-inch Hisense or a, you know, Sony 85-inch, again, I would take size over quality if long as it's not like supreme, as long as it's not really bad quality and you're talking about like a really big difference. But for me, I would say, you know, size trumps in most instances. What's up, dude? Wait, it didn't show up. Super chats aren't showing up. I can't believe it. You didn't have to send a super chat, dude. What's up, man? I talked to you. I talked about your I get the names are so crazy. A80L. People ask, what's the best OLED over 80-inch from Sony? Obviously, it was your answer from our video that we did at the end of the year. So good to hear from you, Bo. I'm just spouting out some of the info here about what TVs to buy. Not a big deal, but good to have you here. This is kind of the spur of the moment thing because we weren't prepared to have a video today. So, but good that you were able to stop in and say hi, man. That's weird. I don't see any super chats at all. So like, I don't know what's going on as far as where they are. You know, let's see if I go over to the, yeah, that's like weird. I don't really care. No one needs to send super chats. It's not a big deal. It's just, I was able to go through the comments today. We have like 100 people on here. My little audio biff in the beginning probably didn't make people want to stick around. So I apologize for that. This microphone right here, though, it's been very consistent over the years. It's been a real pain in the ass lately and it's annoying. So it's been like stopping in the middle of my videos and I've had to like start over because of the stupid thing. So very frustrating. I got to figure it out. I'm going to get on the horn with these people. But you know, It's how it goes sometimes. I think I need to get it like a Shure mic that just like ties right in and it's not digital, because the digital part of it is what's killing me. But I just like it because it's a good one. You know, typically it's been pretty good. G3 versus G4 at 77-inch. I don't know. I'm excited to find out the differences this year. You got to ask someone smarter like Brian about those differences. You know, maybe he got it. Maybe he's got it. I haven't seen the G4 yet in my house, and so therefore I can't tell you. All I know is it's $1,000 more. That's a good start, right? There you go. That's the difference. Currently, it's $1,000 more to get the G4 or more. What is the best distance for watching 77-inch? I would say like 8 feet. I'm of the opinion that you should be close to TV. So when you go and look at those THX like meters and it tells you like how far you should sit away from a certain size screen, I say go bigger than that even. So I've been to a couple movie theaters lately where the TVs, the you know, their screens in there are way smaller than I would like. So I like the giant screens. Big fan of that. So, you know, sorry about the super chat. I got to get going, guys. You know, I'm going to pile through these real quick. I like the C3 better than the B3, but the B3 is cheaper, so I don't think it's a big deal. What is my favorite TV of all time? Man, I don't know. At this point, I still might say that my favorite TV of all time is the Sony A90J OLED, just because it was so good. And it was one of the TVs that I was so stoked. I got 2 of them. That may be the best TV I've ever had. I don't know. I think the A95L at 77-inch currently is. Now I'm starting to be such a snob with TVs that I'm like, oh man, give me more, give me bigger, give me better. We have so many, and I'm blessed to have them. And the M3 is definitely awesome. But let me know in the comments if you have other questions. Make sure to smash and like on all that. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully I can do this more often. I really like to, and I will see you guys on the next one.